Now for today's sponsor, Rogue Energy. If you love energy or if you love hydration, Rogue Energy is your one-stop shop. I personally love to use the energy supplement as it helps me focus when I work, and it also helps me power through workouts when I go to the gym. I also love to use the hydration whenever I go out for a run or do any type of cardio activity. It really helps me replace my lost electrolytes. Make sure to use my code Harariboy at checkout for 10% off your purchase. For our next segment here, we're going to go over goals for baby steps 4 through 6. I'll tell you why in a minute. First, I want to play this video from Dave Ramsey of a caller calling in to the show, basically asking for advice of what he's trying to do in the future. So listen to that.
David is in Kansas City. Hi, David. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Ken. Thank you so much for taking my call. You and your team have been such a big source of motivation and mentorship in my life, so I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. How can we help?
Yeah, so I've been following you. I found you all in college, and in short, I think my main question is, so I'm 25. I make about $90,000 a year, and I do just want to point out, I am a child of immigrants, and so I've reached a good financial spot being in baby steps 4, 5, and 6, but I think thinking of 2024, in short, I think my biggest fear is lifestyle creep, and so I still live with multiple roommates, and it's still very hard for me to spend money, and so I just kind of wanted to talk through goals with you. I think the next logical goal would be to save up for a house, but I do plan on maybe going for an expat role outside of the country in a couple of years. So I'm when I think of the future, there's a big question mark, and it's been a little bit harder to kind of define what it is I want to my action steps, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That makes sense. So if you were to buy a home and 5 years later expat, what would mean you couldn't sell the home?
Well, I think right now where I'm at right now, I have around $30,000 as a down payment. So I would want it to maybe save up a little bit more since interest rates are so high.
That wasn't my question. You said I don't need to buy a home because I may expat in the near future, right?
Yes.
So if you were to expat in 5 years, leave the country, expatriate, right? Because you said you're an immigrant, right?
I was born here in the U.S., but my parents are, and so I brought that up because I think I have this mentality of where I watch my parents save everything that they could.
But so where would you move?
So the company I work for, we have positions all over, but I would love to go to Europe for a couple of years.
That doesn't mean you need to expat. That's a whole different thing. Expat means you're leaving and not coming back, dude.
Okay.
You don't want to expatriate, lose your citizenship to the U.S. in order to not pay taxes or deal with the U.S. government anymore, which that part of it sounds real appealing, but the rest of it isn't. You don't want to lose all of that to go work for some company in Europe and 4 years later change your mind. That's not an expatriate. That's I want to work overseas. Different deal.
Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
Yes,
I'm not sorry. It's okay. I just want to explain. There's people that expatriate, they move to Costa Rica because they're never coming home. Mm-hmm. It's the ultimate go off the grid thing, okay? That kind of stuff.
So what's the timeline? Realistically, today, you can change this.
Yeah, no. How old are you?
He has an idea.
I'm 25. I'm single, and I'm currently in the middle of a role right now, so I plan on rolling off in July 2025. And so, when I'm thinking of the next year, I'm like, okay, do I keep being as frugal as I can and max out HSA, max out 401k, or do I kind of take a step back and kind of allow? I think I mentioned this, but I'm a little nervous about lifestyle creep because I've kind of seen my peers kind of go all out on their apartments and their cars, and so I don't really fall into that, and so I don't know if I should keep being aggressive.
David, I think the chances of you having lifestyle creep is close to zero. You've mentioned it 3 times in the last 4 minutes. So you're not going to do that. It's not inside of you, okay? The chances, though, that you what you do need is something to aim at, a more defined process that will enable you then to build your financial plan around that. And so let's just announce to the world, we're going to move to XYZ in 2025 with my company, and I want to live there for 5 years. Okay, I just made that up, or whatever. If that's your announced goal, then save to make that happen. And that's not maxing out HSAs. That's piling up cash in a mutual fund. So you got a big old pile of cash. So while you're in Europe or Dubai or wherever it is for 5 years working for your company, you've got some pad, you've got some extra things. And then when you come home, you got a big, but later, 10 years from now, you've got a big old pile of cash to buy a house with.
Okay. And I guess the only reason why I brought up the 401k and the HSA is for the tax advantage accounts. Does that?
That's fine. Load them up, but don't do that and have no other money. You need some other money to make some of these to give yourself some wiggle room in some of these other areas. So what's hurting you, what's giving you anxiety is it's difficult to plan when there's not a set goal. Mm-hmm. And so I'm encouraging you to set a goal, even if you change it later. Let's set a goal of saying, I'm going to go for 5 years beginning on this date. And if it ends up being 7 years or 3 years, so what? Or even if you went a little earlier or a little later, that's fine. But at least you're planning towards that, which tells you then don't buy a house.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Because you're going to be in Europe for 5 years. You don't want a rental property in the States when you're in Europe or Dubai or wherever it is you're going to go. I don't know why I picked out Dubai. He didn't say that. But but that's, that's the thing. So you can plan, and Ken, in the case of our last caller, you can plan to open a business.
That's right.
If you just say someday, then you can't plan.
Right. It's like the equivalent, and you're too young to know this, but we used to have these things called atlases, David, right? And so you'd put them out, and it was like what you see on a phone now, but a smart map. But it's the idea of just staring at it and going, well, I could go here, I could go here, I could go here, and it's going to drive you mad. And Dave's exactly right. I know I want to go overseas. So now let's come up with our 3 best options based on your company. They have locations. So we start there. Very specific. Okay, these are my top 3 destinations based on where my company has offices. Now I'm going to look at cost of living there. So we know Portugal is going to be way less cost of living than Dubai, if you will. And that's what Dave's talking about, a very specific strategy to go, I'm going to go spend some time here while I'm young and single and experience life over there. What's my cost of living? And I can continue on my financial goals, which you already have done a great job. So you're stressed out because you don't have a very clear direction, destination. Choose a destination, then make the financial decisions based on the destination.
Yeah, it's a good point. And, that really parlays over into a whole other discussion, Ken, of some of you are facing some really tough stuff right now.
Yeah.
And my friend Jim Collins wrote a book, was it Thriving on Chaos? Mm-hmm. And I was discussing this book with him in the green room. We were both speaking one day at a leadership thing, and he was so excited about it. He said, I have discovered that uncertainty is much more stress-inducing than, ambivalence is much more stress-inducing than a known tough road. So if you'll lay out a road, even if it's a tough road, it's not as stressful as just not knowing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Obviously, the least stress-inducing is a great road, but if you've got a tough thing to do, lay it out in detail.
That's correct.
And say, these are the things I have to do to survive this time I'm in right now, and your level of panic, your level of anxiety will drop dramatically.
Without question. That's why the baby steps have worked for millions of people. People are freaking out. My financial house is a complete dumpster fire. I don't know where to start. It's overwhelming. I've got $250,000 worth of debt. And then they begin to watch the show, listen to the show. They begin to read Total Money Makeover. They begin to use every dollar, and they begin to see, wait a second, debt freedom is the destination. And now I've got 7 steps that I can walk through very clearly.
It's going to be painful.
It's going to be hard.
I got to work extra.
But now I know where to start.
I got to live like no one else.
Yes.
But later I get to live and give like no one else.
You told me a story years ago. I think you were in the Middle East, maybe even Israel, and you talked about going in a cave, and you were like, I don't get freaked out by dark and close, but this was so dark, Coleman, I couldn't see the hand in front of my face. And that is the same emotion that we see in finance, relationships, in our professional lives. When we don't know where we're going, you're paralyzed.
Oh, and even if you are stuck, that freaks you out. Speaking of caves, oh my God, yeah.
We're glad you made it out.
Just being stuck. The idea that I'm stuck is terrifying.
It is.
I can walk through sewage up to my neck, but just don't make me stuck. That's the thing, right? That's the way we all are, though. And that relates really to David's situation as well. The ambivalence is more stress-inducing than the hard path.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to Ramsey Everyday Millionaires. To learn more about how to plan for retirement, visit RamseySolutions.com/retire or click the link in the show notes. Ramsey Solutions is a paid non-client promoter of participating pros. Learn more at RamseySolutions.com/smartvestor.
So do you have a minute to connect? Let's connect. That's right, guys. I'm officially on Minect now. You guys can go ahead and book me. I will be offering financial as well as career coaching based off of the Dave Ramsey principles, of course. So yeah, feel free to contact me, connect with me on Minect, and I look forward to speaking with each and every single one of you. All right. So you heard what he had to say there. My key takeaways here are as follows. Always have a goal to aim at. Never be aimless, because then you'll never progress, pretty much, right? I honestly relate to this caller somewhat, because when I first started my career, I had similar aspirations to like basically travel the world, develop cutting edge buildings for clients around the world. And I quickly realized that that wasn't my true aim in life. And when I nailed down my actual career goals with the help of Allah, alhamdulillah, I was able to accomplish a lot, pretty much. And so yeah, now this caller was more focused on baby steps 4 through 6. Just as an aside, your goals for these baby steps should be as follows. So baby steps 4, invest 15% of your household income into retirement. Just remember, the goal of baby step 4 is to allocate 15% of your household income towards retirement, which can be a 401k, Roth IRA, whatever the case might be. Just something that you can't touch until you basically are of retirement age, right? Then saving for the children's college fund. Again, this can be done simultaneously with baby step 6, which is paying off your home early. And if you want more details on that, go see episode 2 of my podcast, where I go into more depth about these baby steps. But yeah, basically, there's something called a 529 plan that you can start investing in. It's basically like a fund that you can put your money in and watch it grow for your child's college tuition. Not sure what the percentages are on the rate of return, stuff like that, but you basically have penalties if you try to, extract money from it for anything other than your child's, tuition or college savings. I believe once they hit the age requirement, then you'll be able to pull it out, no penalties. And I believe it's tax-free as well, so that's also an added bonus as well with that. And then yeah, paying off your house early. Baby step 6, basically, if you got to make double payments, if you make double payments, you can actually get it done in 15 years, right? If you have a 30-year mortgage. What Dave Ramsey really recommends is getting a 15-year fixed rate. First of all, your interest rate is going to be a lot lower. And second, when you do a 15 and you make double payments on a 15, which I know it's crazy to think about, but it's very, very, very doable if you set your mind to it. Double payments will get you out in 7.5 years out of your home debt. Isn't that wonderful? Like, you're living just 7 years in your home and you already own it outright. Like, you basically have won at that point. You won the little game that the banks like to play, right? So yeah, get rid of your biggest expense in your life and you should be good to go. Also, guys, make sure to check out my merch. I do a new merch drop every single month, so link is in the description below. Go ahead and check that out.